Welcome to Home Biz Tax Talk. My name is Lysandra Everett. I am the Home Biz Tax Lady, where I help home business owners win the tax game. Home Biz Tax Talk airs Monday through Friday, 9 o'clock-ish. And when you tune into my show, you're going to hear about topics that are important to the home business community. So today I want to focus on multi-member LLCs being taxed as S Corps. And the reason I got here is because I had someone ask, when is a good time for a partnership to be taxed as an S Corp? So there's still some confusion about these different types of business entities, what you can do and what you can't do, okay? So with the multi-member LLC, again, with the LLCs, they are disregarded entities, which means that you might have your LLC, but as for tax purposes, you're either going to be taxed as a sole proprietor, a partnership, an S Corp, or a C Corp. That's it. Okay. So a single member LLC is taxed as a sole proprietor, a multi-member LLC is taxed as a partnership, and then you can elect to be taxed as an S Corp or a C Corp. Okay. But now when you're talking about making elections, when you're talking about making a shift, when you form a partnership, you are just that, a partnership. And then, but when you have a multi-member LLC, that is, although it's treated like for tax purposes, like a partnership, it's still an LLC. And then you can make elections from there. All right. But there are things that you got to think about before you go and make this shift. All right. So with the multi-member LLC, you can have both citizens and non-citizens as members of your LLC, non-US citizens. But when you elect S Corp, remember, when you make an election to be taxed as a different entity, you have to follow those rules. Okay. So with an S Corp, you can only have 100 members and they have to be US citizens. Okay. So if you start a multi-member LLC and then you want to become an S Corp, the first question you have to ask is, how many members do we have here? If you have more than 100 members and you want to be an S Corp, then you're going to have to get rid of somebody, okay? That's just the way it is. But that doesn't mean that you can't have your LLC taxed as a C Corp, because a C Corp does not have those limitations, but an S Corp does, all right? So if you're a multi-member LLC and you have more than 100 members, you need to, and you're saying, okay, we want to be an S Corp, then somebody's got to go. All right. In an S Corp, though, husband and wife are considered one member. So that's different from a multi-member LLC, depending on the state where you reside. Okay. Because even, with community property states, that can get interesting as well. Okay. I told y'all, this is why you don't go do this all willy-nilly. This is why you go and schedule a consult. Anywho, so with the multi-member LLC, again, we're talking about you have to be U.S. citizens. So if you have a member of an LLC who is married to a resident alien that is not, we're talking about a non-U.S. citizen, then you can't be an S Corp, because that husband and wife are considered one member. So you're either going to make that person a citizen, or you're going to have to be a C Corp. See, it ain't that simple. Told y'all. All right. Then we're talking about, you look at how you get paid. So in a multi-member LLC, again, treated like a partnership, partners are not W-2 employees of the business. Partners get paid by what's called guaranteed payments and then get distributions on everything else. But when you become an S Corp, if you are an S Corp owner, you have to be on W-2. You have to get paid a reasonable salary. So that at that point, you go from guaranteed payments to reasonable salary, W-2, paying employment tax, all that goes with an S Corp. Okay. So again, not something that you take lightly. And so you have to, you have to go back to those guaranteed payments and say, okay, is this how much we're going to pay each partner? Each shareholder that's, active shareholder owner of the business? Is this how much we're going to pay that person? And then who's going to handle the payroll and bookkeeping? Now, if you already are in a partnership and you don't have payroll and bookkeeping together, you are already starting off on the wrong foot. When it gets down to partnerships, you really have to track ownership. You have to track basis. Those are important things, balance sheets, all those things have to be tracked as a partnership. And if you don't have that together on that level, then going to an S Corp isn't going to make any difference for you. Like that's a tragedy waiting to happen. Okay. Because you still have to have those things in place. So for me, number one, before you go making any elections of any sort whatsoever, you need to make sure you have your accounting and bookkeeping in place. And it's structured so that when you do make that shift, then you have the information available to make that switch. Okay. So again, even though, like I said, filing the form to make the election is easy peasy lemon squeezy, it is the administrative part where people tend to fail. And they tend to fail because they don't know the rules. This is why, again, people will let you do whatever you want to do. You can go on all these sites and do whatever you want to do. That's their job. You say you want to form this multi-member LLC, sweet. You say that you want to, you send in the form to the IRS to make this election, sweet. Everybody assumes that you know what you're supposed to do when you go do this stuff yourself. And ignorance to the law generally is not an excuse for not following the law, because the first thing they're going to ask you is, who did you talk to? Right? And it's not that you just went on Google and said, oh, well, I can just make this election and everything's great. No, this is why you have to consult with people. And I keep hammering that home because people want to, like, we're in this DIY type of society where, oh, I don't want to pay so-and-so that amount of money to do this when I can do it myself. Nobody said you couldn't do it yourself. But what we're saying is, if you don't know the rules, you're going to do yourself more harm than good, because when you get caught and have to pay the penalties for the information that you don't know, like we said before, ignorance is one of the most expensive things you can have in business. It is better for you to invest in a consultation up front before you go and make these changes in your business, because the getting out process isn't as easy as, just getting in. Getting in is easy. Getting out, that might be something else completely different. Because again, even though you may be looking at, okay, well, I want to make this multi-member LLC an S Corp. If you've got a non-US citizen, or if you've got more than 100 members, then you're going to be a C Corp, which is a completely different animal. So, yeah. So, business structures are great when they're used properly. But if you make a shift in a business structure before you are financially ready, before you are administratively ready, that is going to cost you big. So this is why I can't stress enough to meet with an enrolled agent, meet with a CPA, meet with an attorney, meet with people who look at not just the administrative part, look at the tax part, look at the compliance part. Because, a lot of times, especially when you're like right on the line, you have to make a decision as to whether or not the cost of paying the tax is greater or less than the cost of administration. Sometimes you're kind of like, yeah, we'd just rather pay the tax because this is too much for what it's worth. And then you might hold off another year. But that's making an intelligent decision versus, rushing in. But business structure is not a ready, fire, aim situation. It's a ready, let's aim for real before we fire. Because you can't, like I said, the getting out part is more difficult. So, yeah. So you have to understand the differences between the multi-member LLC, which is taxed as a partnership, and an S Corp. You have to really look at those structural differences and the administrative differences before you go making that election, because you may find that it's not the right thing for you, or you wind up as a C corporation and that really wasn't what you were going for. And then you have to go through a whole nother ball of wax. And then you're having to, your C Corp now has to pay taxes that you were not ready to pay, and just stuff, right? It becomes a mess. Okay. So thank you guys so much for tuning into Home Biz Tax Talk. Again, I hope this gives you some food for thought. Book a consultation. You can schedule one with me right here. But if you don't talk to me, talk to someone before you go making these business structure decisions. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Have a great day, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.